Alright, episode 6. We are now going over the largest land animal still alive, the African Savanna Elephant, also known as the African bush elephant. Now, everyone knows what an elephant is. There's not too much I can really say at the general expense of the elephant. Everybody knows that. So I had to dig deep. And I assure you, there is just an absolute ton of information about it, and I can't wait to get into it. Before we do, I do want to talk about the exhibit we're working on today. This is going to be a lowered exhibit. Now, some exhibits that I've made previously are indented into the ground, like the aardvark or porcupine exhibit. However, this is different. It is not lowered so you can look over the animal. It is lowered so that you can look eye level, head on with the animal, which I think would make an incredible enrichment exhibit if they actually implemented that, but that's beside the point. This will be a very nice vista to look into the exhibit. And currently, what I'm doing, I've already lowered it to where I felt it was fine, and now we're going to add the water, because elephants love water. They love rolling around in the mud, they love to swim, and because of their intelligence, which we will get more into, they love to play. And water is a great way to have fun, not just for elephants, but for you too. If it's summer where you are, go enjoy it. Now, let's speak about the elephant. We all know the elephant. We all know the African elephant. It's so ubiquitous with human culture. Its scientific name is just Elephas africana, the African elephant. It's really not that complicated. So, what information can I give to you about them? Well, there's a few things. Let's start with its position in the African Big Five. Now, I've discussed the Big Five previously in the African buffalo or Cape buffalo video, and the Big Five are the 5 most dangerous animals in Africa to hunt. Now, the other 4 include, as I said, the Cape buffalo, the African lion, the African leopard, and the white rhinoceros. Now, I don't think I need to spell out why it's dangerous to hunt the largest animal on Earth that has a prehensile trunk and massive 3-foot tusks that live in herds and are extremely intelligent. I hope that is something that is blatantly obvious why it would be extremely dangerous to hunt something like that. So, we're just going to move along, and we won't really get too much into the hunting aspect, aside from the, well, we all know. But what am I currently doing with the exhibit? Well, I'm putting stone along the side. That way it has a more flush and smooth and clean look to it, rather than that odd look that the indented tool gives to the ground. Especially if you have something like long grass, it just doesn't look good. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to line the entire thing, and we're going to make a shelter out of stone, and we're going to try to make it look natural. It's a little hard to do that with just stone, but we'll work on it. Now, back to the elephant. The African elephant has had a connection with humanity for a very, very long time. The furthest back that I could find was its use as a war elephant for African nations. Now, usually, the average African tribe didn't have the skill to tame an elephant, but nations, infamously like Carthage, of what is modern-day Tunisia, did have the ability to tame and use elephants for war. Now, I'm sure there's many of you that understand the obvious implications of what an elephant would do on a battlefield prior to explosives, guns, and quite honestly, before steel armor. An elephant could absolutely crush anything made by anyone at this time. There's no set of armor that could save you. There's no chariot. Unless you can go faster than it with a horse, it will destroy it. However, there was something else that the war elephant was used with. And on top of the elephant's back would be a box. And in that box would be archers who would shoot arrows at anyone that they could see. So that even if you thought you were faster, they'll just shoot you in the back. Now, that was the past. We have not used elephants in any form of military conflict, at least in Africa, ever since the fall of the Roman Empire. It really just was not viable, and that's probably for the best, because using animals in warfare is not a great thing if you can help it. Obviously, the goodest boys definitely have their role, but, using it as a giant meat tank is not a good idea. So, what other interactions has humanity had with the African elephant? Well, there's a lot, actually. And it goes both ways. Obviously, we have loved elephants because of their very strange appearance compared to most animals and their extreme intelligence. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of documentaries that just watch elephants. Not a scientific documentary, just watching elephants be elephants. They are so intelligent that they have the ability to solve problems. They have the ability to learn how to use tools. And they can even gesture in a communication-like fashion. Now, no, they don't really communicate in any sort of understandable way unless you watch it a lot. One example that I'd like to put out was there was once a mother African elephant that guided people and lured them to assist her when her calf was stuck in a pit and couldn't climb out. The elephant recognized that humans make tools, and they use those tools to change the world around them. And with that understanding, it knew that, hey, a person has the ability to remove land to get my baby out. Now, this may not have been the exact thought process it had, but in some way it understood these three premises. So if anything, let that be an instance that proves that humans are not entirely evil, elephants are very smart, and with those 2 points of information together, we can coexist, please. Because the old ways that we used to live with the African elephant was unethical, to put it mildly. There is a ton of poaching that still goes on today for the ivory of elephant tusks. Now, we have done a lot to counteract that. However, it is still a very, very big issue. There's been a lot of organizations that have tried to stop it, and we have gotten better. We have been able to stop a lot of them, but it is still a very constant issue. With that being said, there is a possibility that in the near future, it could come to an end with the advancements in artificial ivory and, of course, the outcry and the response some organizations have had. by response, I meant there are some endangered animal assistance organizations that just straight up kill poachers on site. So, if that's not a warning, I don't know what is. Now let's get into some more information about the elephant themselves. Now, I've spoken about how they like to have fun, and one way that has been noted is they will indulge themselves on fruit that has been fermenting. Fermenting fruit makes alcohol. And despite their size and despite what a lot of people think, elephants have a very, very low constitution and get drunk very quick. And it is equally comical and horrifying. Comical because, well, quite simply, honestly, just after you're done with this video, just Google drunk elephants on YouTube. Wait, that's a makeup brand now, isn't it? Look up wild elephants drunk on berries, and then you'll realize it is probably one of the funniest things you've ever seen. However, it is also terrifying, because just like some people, a drunk elephant might become a violent elephant. And a violent elephant is horrifying for everything and everyone that isn't a boulder. They will attack trees, they will attack cars, they will attack people. They'll attack other elephants, however, other elephants tend to gang up and stop that. But I assure you, it's the biggest double-edged sword, a drunk elephant. Now, let's get to the exhibit. I've rambled on quite a bit. Here is where the elephants will be spending their sleeping hours and, their eyes off location. And we're going to try to spruce it up a bit, add some more rocks here and there, because you don't want just a big mesa, as cool as that is sometimes. In Africa, they're not too well known. We'll wait till we get to the kangaroo and the wallaby to really, really just go all out on that. So let's also acknowledge that the elephant has a lot of interests that align with ours. For example, they paint, they swim, obviously they get drunk like I just said. It goes to show that intelligence really ends the same way. An interest in creation, disconnecting, and athletics. Because elephants don't need to swim. Most of the time, they can either go around, or they're just simply tall enough that they can just find a more shallow area. But they will just go in the water and swim and spray water. It's an interesting view. Something so massive. Something so alien compared to other intelligent creatures. But it still has the same kind of fun. It's beautiful. It's beautiful in a strange way. When it comes to the exhibit, all we're doing right now is sprucing it up. We've done everything that needs to be done to keep it from being escaped from, right? So all we need now is to add these rocks to make it more aesthetic, and we're going to add some foliage and, of course, the amenities for the animal. Now, a little bit more cultural information. Back in the olden days of Africa, and probably still done with some tribes of Africa today, the Igbo Ukwa chiefs would be buried with elephant tusks as a sign of grandeur and honor. Along with the modern influence, it just goes to show that there's really nothing in this world that is as interesting and mind-bogglingly beautiful as an elephant. To this day, you could go pretty much anywhere And somewhere is going to have some form of elephant iconography, whether it be, like I said earlier, makeup or sports teams or something. It is an absolute powerful creature, both in imagery and in reality. And it is obviously seen on the African crests of a lot of Central and West African nations. The elephant is a symbol of not just strength or a single ideology or ideography, but a symbol of Africa itself. And I could not imagine Africa without elephants. They are one and the same at this point. So, after waxing poetically about elephants, what am I doing in the exhibit? Well, I'm adding multiple food locations. Because, let's be real, elephants eat a lot. They eat thousands of pounds of food. They have to. They're several ton animals. So, we're putting it in different locations, and I personally prefer to have any sort of eating location to be either obstructed, out of view, or make it look natural, put it in bushes. Now, keep in mind, you are going to have at least 2 generators if you want an exhibit like this at this size, but it is worth it just because, I mean, they're elephants. Why? Who doesn't want an elephant in their zoo? So, getting this last little bit set up, and next we are going to work on the path. Now, I've decided, instead of extending it out over the water, I'm going to put it right up along the side, and then I'm going to add a railing to make it more appealing and aesthetic. And I want it to have a nice big section compared to the rest of the path. That way more people can stay there, maybe put some benches, and really make this something more of a gathering point than just somewhere to look over at the elephants. Now, the herd of elephants is usually only cows, which are the technical term for female elephants, along with their offspring, and they would be known as calves. So they have the same nomenclature as cattle. So the herd would be led by the eldest female, which would be considered the matriarch, and she would make most of the major decisions. However, as with most good things, it is somewhat of a democratic process. The bulls, on the other hand, the males, they usually live life out on their own and only come around during the rut. And for those who don't know, rut is mating season. However, it's not just time to mate. Usually, when an animal has something like rut, they become aggressive. It is actually the most dangerous point to ever come across any elephant, because a male elephant in rut will kill you. They are angry. They are violent and aggressive because they are pumped full of testosterone and other hormones. Now, because of this matriarchal structure, even if you want to have a mating group, it is important to note you need more females. You need at least 2, maybe 3, to make them comfortable. Now, we've reached the point where we have the elephants in, and we're just going to make sure everything's good with them. And you may notice this issue that I'm having now, where something's blocked off. They can't really access the rest of the exhibit. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to pretty much just make sure all the rocks that you have available are out of the way. You're going to move it so that they have plenty of space to go in and out. And once you do that, you will notice no problem. and sometimes it's by moving things or making a secondary entrance like I have done so that everything sort of opens up for them and it becomes a more accessible location. As you can see, all's right in rain, and this is going to be the exhibit right here. Now, I appreciate you watching. If you are still listening, I do plan on keep releasing these once a week, every Tuesday on the East Coast of the United States. General time, I have no idea. I am still a complete noob, and I don't know what the hell I'm doing. However, I am going in alphabetical order. There is still one more DLC coming out. Hopefully it doesn't mess with things too much, but if it does, I'm just going to throw whatever exhibits I need to in wherever I can. So, if you like what I'm doing, go ahead, like, subscribe, all that fun jazz. Comment if you like. If there's any information you want to add, feel free in the description. Other than that, have a good day, go outside, literally touch grass.